Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Adam.
I'm Kurt.
It's Kurt. How are you? Yeah. Hey, Kurt. How are you? Hey, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Yeah, we're here to celebrate World Goth Day, which is tomorrow, Saturday, May 22nd, 2021. So we're going to hang out with you. We're going to talk a little bit about some goth records that we have, share some stuff with you, and we're looking forward to hearing from everybody out there. Yeah. So Kurt and I have been chatting all week about this. It kind of got started when Kurt sent me an email letting me know. Why don't you go ahead and share it, Kurt?
Sure. Tuesday, May 18th was the anniversary of the death of Ian Curtis. He committed suicide 41 years ago on May 18th. He was the lead singer of Joy Division, which later became New Order and spawned a lot of kind of really great music on top of being a great, series of 86 songs themselves. And a lot of people think of Joy Division as one of the kind of pinnacle bands in the post-punk / goth movement. They probably kind of go back and forth because it's particularly because Ian killed himself. It's kind of sad man music is what I like to say sometimes, and it's not just sad women music as well. But ultimately, they're often associated a lot with the gothic genre, though it's, as Adam and I were talking about this week, it's hard to say exactly what's gothic and what's not gothic. So except that it usually has some kind of morose, death-related dark side to it versus just a poppy, hey, let's all go dance type music. So
yeah, and wonderful music stuff that I've enjoyed for years that sometimes is identified as goth, sometimes not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, let's say hello to Art. Art, how are you doing tonight?
Hey,
so
Art.
Good to see you, Art. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Yeah. Joy Division. Kurt and I were talking about the little. Is it a biopic? A little movie called
Control is the name of the biopic about Ian. Yep, and the Joy Division in his life. Yeah,
I saw that at a film festival about 1:30 a.m. and it was such a good movie, and looking forward to checking it out again. And
the band The Killers do several pieces of the soundtrack. There's still original Joy Division music, but they do one of the major songs that was in that record, and they do a really great cover of it. So and the guy who played Ian was just phenomenal. So
absolutely, and it was a really interesting story, a story I hadn't familiarized myself with. So to watch the movie, I learned a lot. So very cool.
To learn a little bit about what drove him. He had his own demons, of course, but his relationship with the woman from Factory Benelux, it kind of set them, he and his wife, Deborah, on a path of destruction. So that didn't help. But nonetheless, fascinating movie.
Yeah, and also learn how simple of a life he had, and which was great. And then,
and Control's largely based on. Sorry to interrupt you, Adam. Control's largely based on the book Touching from a Distance, which was written by Deborah Curtis. So it is a one-sided view of some of the things that happened in his life, but whether or not Anik's role has much to do with his suicide or not is still up for debate. And then a couple other people have written books about it that contradict a little bit of what she wrote, but
to be expected.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Kurt, would you like to start showing some really cool records?
I'll show some records. I don't know if people will think they're really cool or not, but they do represent goth, and are probably going to come up mostly in alphabetical order right now because that's the way I pulled them.
Who are you?
This is Alien Sex Fiend. Alien Sex Fiend was a band. Nick Fiend and his wife, Mrs. Fiend. And just from the name in the picture, you can see they're a little bit of a Gothic looking band. It's a little bit more kind of grungy goth, if that's a way to express it. This is from 1984. And so I've got probably a dozen of their different records, and they're all about the same, but it's still pretty good kind of dark stuff. They do a great cover version. I don't think it's on this record. Maybe it is. Of a Johnny Cash song. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but they do a fantastic version. I got a double single that has that on it, so it's kind of fun stuff. And Alien Sex Fiend, what are you going to say? It's got to be goth in that sense, or some other weird thing.
Absolutely.
I think this is actually still sealed. This is the Daniel Ash, and the record is called Strip. And Daniel Ash was a member of the original Bauhaus. He then went on to be also in Love and Rockets and Tones on Tail. So while Peter Murphy went his way, Daniel Ash went his way. And this is kind of a compilation of some of those things he did post Bauhaus. This is a Record Store Day copy from,
I think it was 2020 drops.
Well, it says 2015 on the back here.
Oh, okay.
So it's slightly older, and this is on Drastic Plastic Records, so it was a reissue, I think, as it was. So, but again, I think I have 2 copies of this, and this one's still sealed. So, again, fun, interesting stuff. And then to not talk about Bauhaus in terms of Gothic music is like not talking about the sky when you're talking about astronomy. Just trying to make the connection to the skies going out here. This is a double album with kind of some of their slightly more obscure tracks, and there's a live side to it as well. I really, this is what really kind of sent me over the edge on Bauhaus. However, the first record I ever got for Bauhaus was this, and I probably got this the year it came out. So it's the Classic Mask that is one of the kind of supposed to be one of the top 40 goth records. But I mean, all Bauhaus are fantastic. Of course, the biggest thing that they did, whether it was what they wanted to do biggest or not, is Bela Lugosi's Dead, which has been, and you try to find that 12-inch, the original 12-inch of Bela Lugosi's Dead, good luck, without paying, an arm and a leg. I've been trying to get it because I don't have it. So it's a fun thing to try and find right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I just want to welcome everybody who's just joining us. We're tomorrow is World Goth Day, and we're just talking goth music, showing off some stuff. I'm Adam. This is Kurt right here. Yeah. Hey, let's say hello to Cajun Roots. Hello, Johnny. How are you tonight?
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for hanging out with us. Yeah. So
you have some, Adam. Do you want to show a couple records?
Well, I'll show this one. You can't go wrong with Cocteau Twins. Not everything is as dark as some other things, but this is one I really enjoy. This is I'll show you the vinyl. This is Head Over Heels, and it's on 4AD. And I think about the times that anything I saw 4AD, I wanted to check out myself and see if it's something I wanted to have. And so 4AD released a lot of wonderful records in that respect.
In the day, I mean, and they're still releasing records, but they are not quite the same category as they used to be kind of known for, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of those, like you said, if you saw 4AD in the late 80s or early 90s or anywhere in there, it's like buy it, and then now try to find it. But some of the stuff they're releasing now, because I follow them on social media, it's like, I don't know, it's like some of the stuff that Sub Pop releases now too. It's like, I don't know if that's really fits the Sub Pop genre, but when you turn a label into a genre, it makes it a little bit more difficult to load those things.
And there were some surprises in the 80s and 90s. They're like, ooh, okay, thank you. Not this one for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's the fun thing about records and music.
Yeah. So here's, I mean, and this isn't a 4AD version of, but another band that kind of hit the ground running on 4AD originally was Nick Cave, and this is the Birthday Party. So before Nick Cave became Nick Cave, he was in a band called the Birthday Party. And if you're not familiar with the Birthday Party, and this is the original Missing Link record from 1980, it's a little bit darker than a lot of what Nick Cave did, though you could still argue that Nick Cave is still doing some seriously dark stuff. In fact, I think I pulled one of his records too. His latest record is actually very dark in that sense, because it's very kind of melodic and piano driven and just dirgy sounds to it. So, yeah. But the early the early Birthday Party, I mean, just the release The Bats is the one song I can think of that really kind of epitomizes some of what some aspects of goth was. So it was really kind of fascinating that I ended up being such a big fan of Nick Cave after also being a fan of the Birthday Party in that sense.
That's totally cool. I like The Cure a lot. It's no secret, folks. Some of their stuff is a little darker than others, and some of it is very poppy. But over the years, and this is just a touch of some Cure stuff that I've had, but I've been able to find some Cure live shows. And let's see, can I make me big? And so just some live stuff.
Hi, Gina.
This is one from BBC, and this is a fan club pressing of The Cure Tales of Ordinary Madness, Disintegration Tour, and another Disintegration Live. It's from Disintegration, which, yeah, so there you go. Yeah. Hello, Gina. Gina, this is Kurt. Thank you for hanging out with us. We're talking goth music. Tomorrow's World Goth Day, so here we are. She loves Nick Drake.
Nick Cave. Don't call him Nick Drake.
Oh, she loves Nick Drake. Nick Cave. I'm sorry. Sorry. Thank you, sir. You know me with my one eye. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's all good. Hey, TARDIS.
How are you? Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
So this is just, since we're still on Nick Cave, this is his most recent, almost his most recent record. He just released another one with his violin player, but this is called The Idiot Prayer, which is Nick Cave alone at the piano at Alexandria Place, and he's playing some of his biggest hits. And it's again, it's, if you like the kind of saddy piano droning Nick Cave, this is a fantastic record. I mean, again, I've seen him 3 times and want to see him again soon. We had tickets to see him when the COVID hit, but we'll see him soon. So always excited to listen to him. Nick Drake is also cool. Nick Drake would probably also qualify as gothic to some extent, particularly like the Pink Moon era of stuff that he was doing. Was very kind of lower key, dark side of things in terms of music.
There you go. TARDIS says, I know it's not goth, but I got my ticket for Dead and Company in Raleigh in August. Oh. Well, that means that TARDIS will be here, Kurt.
All right.
We'll have to get the gang together and have a special celebration when TARDIS comes to town. And so great. Congratulations for getting your ticket. And so
some aspects of Dead and Company may be considered goth. I mean, they got dead in their name, so what else could you say?
Well, that is so true. Yeah. That is so true. Yeah. Kurt, you show something, then I'll grab something.
All right. This is kind of a weird crossover thing. I may show, depending on how timing goes, a little bit later. There's an old hardcore band called TSOL, the True Sounds of Liberty, who had was more or less a hardcore punk band, but they had a record called Dance With Me, which was really kind of a really dark metal, dark punk, dark hardcore, with lots of kind of goth undertones. But anyway, the singer, who's Jack, what's his real last name? I can't think of what his real last name is off the top of my head. Jack Lloyd on this record also had this kind of gothic, kind of dark metal gothic record called Cathedral of Tears. So that's what this is. And this is from 1984. And it's out of California. So it's, and you can see the pictures on the back there. They kind of got all their dark on and their eye makeup and all those pieces. So I don't know, it's not transposing well, but it was, so the songs are, like Whispers from a Dead Land, Black Emotion. If those songs don't scream goth or kind of dark metal, Jack Grisham is the actual name of the guy who was in TSOL and also in this band, and he also ran for governor of California. So at one point,
there you go. I only pulled a few. Vinyl today. For tonight.
I bet I know what T-shirt it was, TARDIS.
And knowing that, yeah, and so I didn't pull any of my Dead Can Dance CDs, but Gina, that's a wonderful thing. Did you pull some Dead Can Dance, Kurt? Look at there. Let's see that image again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
yeah, love Dead Can Dance. I've seen them. They're on tour in the late summer, mid to late summer. They're coming near here. I don't think they're coming to Raleigh, but I think they're at least coming up to DC. So I may try to go see them again because it was a fantastic show, and just the whole instrumentation and the voice of whatever her name is. I mean,
Lisa.
Yeah. It's just unreal. And surreal, and it was Brendan Perry and Lisa Gerard.
Yeah. I like that photograph on that album cover. I always have. Here in Raleigh, we have a cemetery. It's called Oakwood Cemetery, and they have a wonderful statue in the same vein as that, Kurt. And I've been over there many times and photographed it, and it's just cool visiting the cemetery and seeing a few things there. I'll pull another cockatoo because of a shallow bay. So I enjoy listening to cockatoo. I like their poppy stuff too. And
yeah, I mean, again, Cocteau, it's hard to go wrong. So here's the Victoria Land record, and again, 4AD. They were the original kind of superstar of 4AD when it first started opening up, and they were doing a lot of that things. I mean, and they spilled over into a lot of other rec bands. I'm trying to see. This isn't a special vinyl; it's just the regular vinyl. But yeah, so epic.
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to see Cockatoo. I really would. Yeah, good stuff, and as well as Dead Can Dance, and just listening to that one record over and over and over and over.
Yeah, here, let me throw this one at you and see what you think of this. I think you know some of this music. This is Coil, which is probably a little bit more on the industrial side, but particularly some of it is very what I would call gothic. And I think this is one of those kind of crossover bands that between them and some of the neo-folk stuff that is associated with Coil is really, and again, I didn't realize I would be such a Coil, Psychic TV, Throbbing Gristle, Current 93, Nurse with Wound fan, but I snatch that stuff up every time I get a chance to see it and buy it. So because it's just incredibly entertaining.
If you don't snatch it up, it may be weeks or months before you have the opportunity to snatch it again.
Yeah.
All that wonderful stuff was just so limited.
And I think when the coil thing that really strikes me is kind of the crossover goth piece. I know there maybe are several, but when they did Tainted Love, they did their version of Tainted Love, and I don't remember if it was on Horse Motivator or the Anal Staircase, but whichever it was on, I mean it's the darkest version ever of Tainted Love that you will ever hear. And if you watch the video for it on top of that, which is around the AIDS crisis in particular, it's such a moving video and such a fantastic version of Tainted Love.
Hey, Christy, thanks for joining us tonight, hanging out today with Kurt tonight. And we're talking goth music. Tomorrow's World Goth Day. So looking forward to that. And
so we're black.
We're black. I forgot to look, speaking of wearing black, Kurt, I forgot to look. Hopefully you grabbed it. Depeche Mode, Black Celebration.
I don't have that one. I didn't grab any Depeche Mode, so I've got a lot, but I didn't grab any this time.
Yeah, Black Celebration. Wonderful, wonderful. Hello, Anonymous. Hello, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Yeah. TARDIS says Coral and Nurse with Wounds.
Yeah.
That's some real good stuff. Kurt, do you know Stunt Rock Confusion's YouTube channel? He has a lot of info on both Coil and Nurse Wound. I don't know that channel. Do you know it, Kurt?
I don't know that channel, but here's one of my Nurse with Wounds. Again, I've got several of them. This is the Thunder Perfect Mind record. Again, what it would really be known as, or what it's currently known as, neo-folk is what a lot of people call this. But David Tibet is the kind of the brainchild behind Nurse with Wound, and he's one of the really kind of the leaders in the neo-folk, gothic neo-folk movement. But again, this is a double. But I mean, just look at the graphics itself. It's like, well, okay, yeah, this is happy music. You can tell.
Absolutely, yeah. And Christy says hi. Thanks TARDIS for letting me know. I made a note of that channel. I have to check it out sometime.
Yeah, I have to check it out too.
Yeah, even the back cover is awesome, Kurt, on that.
Oh yeah. I mean, and part of the neo-folk Current 93 Nurse with Wound Coil movement is there's so much artistic relevance to a lot of what they're doing. It's not just the music. Everything is really well thought out. It's not that they just put that picture on the front of an album cover. It's the pulse of a dying star. Yes, that's what that is. So
I love that graphic. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think I have it near me, but there's the person who did a lot of the art for Factory Records. I have his record, his book of all his art somewhere around the house here. I don't know where it is, but
and 4AD introduced a style that went on for years with records and CD. Absolutely. So you would see something in the record shop and you're like, is that 4AD? It's got to be. And
yeah, you can tell by the way it looks, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a 4AD record. You can tell, or this is that, or that's that. But
and it was great that they did use a style that was their branding that carried over from record to record. Stunt Rock Confusion is French. He lives in Sweden now. Owns a record pressing plant. Ooh, he really knows his stuff. Very cool guy.
Very cool.
And that is cool. I love watching documentaries about non-popular labels and watching the documentary about Factory Records and how much of that life was poured into that one label.
Yeah. Dan, are you familiar with Dance Society?
Oh yeah.
So this is one of my first introductions to quote unquote goth. I mean, I got a single, not this record, but I got a single probably in 1981, a 12-inch, and it's like, oh, I don't know what this is, but it was like 90 cents at the record store, and I'll buy it. And it's like, holy cow, that's cool stuff. So now I try to snap up again all the Dance Society stuff I can. This is on Arista, so it's probably a U.S. re-release. In fact, it is 1984. But it's, again, very kind of almost Dead Can Dances a little bit, but maybe a little darker, if that's even possible to be darker than Dead Can Dance. Maybe a little more synthesizer and other pieces in it, but depends on the record you hear from them.
Yeah. Well, I think with my introduction to that style of music was probably attending a music venue we had in Raleigh, Fallout Shelter. And that's probably where I first heard Cop 2. And it's where I first heard My Bloody. And it just goes on and on and on and just learning. They would do industrial dance nights. And it wasn't all industrial music. There was a lot of goth thrown in there. And it just went on and on and
on. Kind of jumping still into the Bauhaus thing. This is it's printed backwards for some reason. This is Dolly's Car, which was Peter Murphy after Bauhaus bowed out. This is the band that he had initially after the Bauhaus, before he just kind of went on his old solo career. So again, still meets that kind of weird gothic thing. And again, of course, this is I can't think of the artist's name, but again, creates emotive ideas just by looking at the cover. But it is interesting. I never noticed it's kind of printed on the wrong side. So I wonder if that was intentional or not.
Probably. Yeah, that is a beautiful. I don't even recall the artist, but it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, we have some of his art actually in our house, but I not his actual art, but prints of it. So
yeah. That's the other cool thing about music of that genre, is that the album covers were just amazing. It fit the music so well. A certain graphic would connect you and reach out to you and make you want to listen to the music. And because we didn't always have an iPhone in our pocket, so you go to the record store and sometimes the people behind the counter are like, I don't know. And so you're like, well, that looks interesting enough to buy. I'm going to take a chance.
Right, and you can almost tell just by the name of the band, right? So Dolly's Car, I mean, clearly, okay, well, that's got to be something weird because it's about Salvador Dali and his car, but it's not, of course. But those kind of things. And speaking of Factory, this was one of those kind of bands that if you didn't know that they came from Factory Benelux in particular, the Crispy Ambulance is the band. Again, it's kind of a crossover from post punk and goth, but. This is the Plateau Phase. This is one of their first records on Factory Benelux, but it's again great stuff. Really kind of out there, but nonetheless very entertaining and again beautifully put together in a lot of ways. This is a beat up copy, but one that I happened to find.
That's cool. I'm not familiar with them at all. And when I was at KNC, the nighttime alternative show was more poppy, but there were some DJs that would play more goth music, and learned a lot just hanging out there as well as listening to the station, which was really cool. And absolutely.
I'm sorry, I'm just still throwing things out here, so you just stop me and tell me what to stop me, Adam. But again, this is one that maybe not a lot of people are familiar with, but again, it's kind of was an early pinnacle of the goth movement was Sex Gang Children. Similar to kind of the whole look of Alien Sex Fiend, which I showed you earlier. You can see some of the pictures here are very much goth looking in and of itself. So this really kind of represents that kind of primitive / gothic movement that was happening in the early 80s to mid 80s. This is actually a live record of them recorded in their USA performances in 1983. Mm-hmm. But I've got a few other Sex Gang Children records, and again, a name like Sex Gang Children, you don't go into you don't dial into the Planet or whatever these places and say, I want to hear Sex Gang Children. No, they're not going to know what you're talking about.
Hey, good to see you, TARDIS. Looking forward to seeing you. Wait, it's not.
All right, we'll be miserable. We'll continue to wear black and be sad guys.
Have a black celebration. Yeah.
Get back in there. Sex gang children doesn't fit in its.
Yeah. You know, Kurt referenced that there's this wonderful website that shows their interpretation of the top 40 goth records, and wonderful representation of 40 records. But, you know, when I think about regional bands that didn't have the national recognition, we had one of my favorite bands to see in Raleigh was called Spawn. And, you know, they were pretty dark, and I love seeing Spawn. Every time they played the Fallout Shelter, I wanted to be there so I could hear them. And Kurt, you got to have some stories of some local bands in Nebraska that you saw.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't necessarily probably. I mean, they're a lot more shoegaze than they were goth, but again, there's a crossover there, right? In some way, because shoegaze is still kind of, though it's a little bit more melodic, it still is a little bit kind of sad man stuff. And you're gazing at your shoes because you don't have any attitude about anything in the world. But yeah, I know some people who are kind of in the shoegaze scene that really kind of would resonate with all this music we're talking about right now. In fact,
absolutely
drove me to a lot of this music we're talking about now, quite frankly. Yeah. And there's a band, I think they're in Texas now, Morbid Angel, which with a name like Morbid Angel, you can kind of guess that they would certainly qualify as the same kind of music. As a friend of mine is in that band, but they've been playing in different capacities for the last 25 years, 30 years. So.
And I think there's a metal band called Morbid Angel.
I think it's the same band. They're kind of dark metal.
Yeah.
If it's the same one I'm thinking of, or it's the same one I know. So that is certainly possible that we're talking about the same group.
You know, and speaking of metal, not that the Cult is metal, but they definitely have a little heavier side. And, you know, some people recognize them as one or two of their albums as being gothic.
Right. And I think that even in some ways, I'm going to pull two out here that kind of also talk to that a little bit. If you're familiar with The Mission in The Mission UK, I guess is what it actually was. That they kind of had I think they broke out of Sisters of Mercy, and then they kind of went a little bit more kind of psych metal in that sense. And particularly some of the early singles, 12-inch singles that they did are really kind of a little heavier, but still that whole kind of underlying gothic tendency. The other one, and this is more, again, hardcore probably than anything else, but it's hard not to say anything about the Misfits when you're talking about quote unquote gothic music, because it's, you know, they were the epitome of the hardcore gothic band or the dark gothic band, still are. Sam Hain, Danzig, all those kind of spin-offs are still doing it and still making money. And some of these records sell for a gob of money. I mean, a gob of money. But so, I mean, it's crazy how much people will pay for some of this stuff. It's really not all that fantastic. I mean, it's short 90-second hardcore songs that have been about turning into a Martian or Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight? I mean, you know, these are not epic ballads, but nonetheless, people love it. And I love it in some ways.
You know, and Glenn's voice is so fitting. So fitting.
Yeah.
Gina says that doom metal is definitely goth in my opinion also.
Yeah.
I would even go as far to say Black Sabbath is goth.
You know, I was reading some of because I was coming on here with Adam this week, I was reading some of the definitions of what qualifies as goth, right? I mean, again, because I said earlier, and you may not have been here yet, you can really just kind of throw a rock. In some ways, you can say some things are goth and some things aren't. In at least two different articles I read, they said that the Doors, particularly some of the later Doors, met some of the criteria of goth. And I can hear that in a couple of the records that they have. I mean, you think about the song The End, of course, which is one of their, you know, their great songs, and Apocalypse Now and all those things. but it just kind of got that whole kind of dark side to it that really kind of carries people in that direction.
That is true. And with his lyrics, his poetry, Jim's, that is.
Yeah, Jim's poetry was pretty interesting stuff. And I got a couple of, I think I got it from you, Adam. I got one of his, the parade, what is it? The Soft Parade from you recently. And that's a pretty crazy record.
Yes, that is a pretty crazy record. And thank you so much for getting that from me.
Are you familiar with Diamanda Galas?
Just the name.
Yeah. So again, a hard one to classify. She's almost operatic, but she is certainly the kind of epitome of what I would call Gothic interpretation of life in different ways. Insane to see live. I saw her with the bass player from Led Zeppelin.
John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones and Diamanda Galas went on tour together. He would play bass and she would sing her crazy voice over it. And again, I saw it in an art center in Nebraska, 4,000 seat art center with, mostly full. Crazy stuff, but it was fantastic. And so, I mean, again, some of what she does.
Singing in Himmel bass?
Yep, that was it. And when I say sing, I mean scream and wail, as opposed to necessarily sing, but still really, really interesting stuff.
And most people would walk in and see that in a record shop, and unless they pull out their phone and look it up, you're like, okay, what is that? No, keep on walking. And that's the beauty of it, folks. There's so many cool things out there we will never know.
Yeah, and I think that I got this one online. It's a 45 actually. It's 45 RPM, but it's got 8 songs on it, so it's a long EP.
Yeah. Absolutely, I love those.
Sorry, I'm still throwing records out here. You just stop me.
You're doing fine.
Gene Loves Jezebel. You familiar?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So again, one of the bands I got to see in the early '80s, and this is actually the Situation 2 version of this, so it's the import. But they were certainly, I would put them in the Gothic vein, but kind of almost to the Mission kind of metal Gothic in some sense, because they really had some kind of wailing songs, but also some really kind of melodic and interesting songs. Friend of mine's band opened for them when I got to see them, so that was kind of neat to kind of hang out around where they were. But it was a long time ago. I don't know if they're still doing it or not. I think they had like 4 releases at least, but this is one of their better ones, Immigrant. So I think I have like 3 copies of this for some reason. So let's see. I got a couple other ones I really want to show.
Help yourself. You're doing great.
So really, the pinnacle Joy Division Sad Man album is Closer. I mean, and you have it up there behind you. I see. Yes. I mean, Unknown Pleasures is a fantastic opening swart thing for them, but Closer. I mean, the last 2 tracks on Closer, if you don't cry every time you listen to them, you're not a human. Yeah. Well, maybe you are a human. This is kind of a rarity. Community FK was an LA band that they had 2 releases, and this was one of the 2 of them. And this is on Independent Project Records. This is Close One Sad Eye is the name of the record. You see, Something Inside Me Has Died is the first song. The Other World, Debauchery, Junkies. So again, all the themes of a great goth record, Community FK. You can't probably see it that well, but yeah. Independent Project Records, which was out of the desert in California. They put out they were largely built around a band called Savage Republic, which I would classify more as industrial than Gothic in any way, but they did release quite a bit of bands that would probably be more represented in the Gothic genre over the course of their releases. And they've got a great new book release that has all their, and they had a letterpress print thing, so everything is limited edition letterpress. So hey, how about Leah Bugs watching me?
Hey Leah, how are you? Thanks for hanging out with us.
So great stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay, two more things I want to show before I'll get out of here. This is the World of Skin. Not sure if you're familiar, but
I'm not.
It's largely Jerobe from Swans, but it's also got what's his name from Swans in it as well.
Michael?
Yeah, it's not Michael Jura. Yeah, so it's not Swans, but it's kind of in that same vein of Swans. And again, I could have pulled out a dozen Swans records that I have, and probably tried to pitch them as goth, and some of them are, and some of them aren't. But the World of Skin kind of has a little bit more of that feel to it. One of the things that most stands out as a gothic representation of Swans is the Love Will Tear Us Apart single. If you have that from Swans, where they have two versions, the red and black version of Love Will Tear Us Apart, and one's with Michael and one's with Jerobe. But again, both really kind of gothic representation of an already gothic song.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last, second to last group I want to talk about. So there's one more after this. Sisters of Mercy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't. This is their first record, first and last and always. They did a lot more singles than they did records, but this is one of their first records, and this is a Black Planet and Marianne and Some Kind of Stranger. All these songs that were just kind of this epic, heavy, dark piece of what they were doing. Andrew Eldritch, who was the kind of the founder and main character in Sisters of Mercy. They did a later record that was a little bit more kind of synthy, poppy, but still had that dark cover to it in some sense.
Yeah. Very cool. I think a lot about Gothic music is, I think about the deep, rich male baritone vocal that is something that reminds me so much of Elvis with Love Me Tender. Danzig is a perfect example of that, and I just, Sisters of Mercy, I'm just thinking about the Cult, all those cool guys that had that certain vocal style that I like so well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the two Joy Division records I have up there. Then I have Head on the Door by The Cure. I don't have my Cure Pornography here. But Head on the Door, I enjoyed that one also. But when we do this again, Kurt, I'll have to dig through some of my CDs and share those too. And I'm sure you probably.
Yeah, I could pull a lot of CDs as well. Okay, here's the last one I want to share that really kind of set me off in a lot of different ways. Susie and the Banshees, I would say without much hesitation, at least through their first 6 albums, maybe even more, would classify as Gothic. But this is Juju, which I think was like the 3rd or 4th record they released. For some reason, this one it's got Halloween on it. It's got Arabian Nights and Voodoo Dolly and all these kind of The Night Shift. Again, a great record that I've lived the hell out of, quite frankly. And you can see Susie there in her glorious gothicness, and Budgie down here. So again, all these. If I could pick one, this would be one of my top 10 Desert Island discs, I guess, if I could take it with me. But only if I wanted to cry a lot or feel bad or do weird things. But I mean, it's kind of it's just a fascinating record, and it's so good. And this is the one that came with the free single of Israel, which maybe is topical now, I don't know, but it's certainly an interesting take on Israel.
Absolutely, yeah, all that good stuff. Oh man, it's just so good. So I'm looking forward to more. for World Goth Day, and playing as much of it as I can in Wake Forest. I might even crack open these two records tomorrow and play them there.
Play this one if you don't have it, or have it if you have it. This Mortal Coil.
I do not have that one.
Oh.
I've had it in the past, but I didn't keep it. Is that the one that's got "This World's Not My Home"?
This is the one that has "Song to the Siren" on it, and "Kangaroo," and which "Dreams Made of Flesh," which are all great songs. But I mean, this is the kind of their first release. Their double album that is pretty much, I mean, almost everything they do is covers, and it includes people from Cocteau Twins and all the 4AD superstars are on these records. Anyway, get it.
Do we know how the term goth music got coined?
I don't
either. I didn't think about it until now to look it up and do some research. Yeah. Awesome. Kurt, you have some amazing records. I'm sure there's plenty more you could share with us.
There's too many, Adam.
I think I have some amazing ones too, and there's many that I could share, the many that I enjoy. But the important thing is just enjoying the music, folks. Absolutely, and I'm glad that Ian Curtis was able to release, as Joy Division, as many songs as they possibly could.
Yeah, between Stiff Kittens, Joy Division, and Warsaw, they released, I think it was 86 to 92 songs total. But
yeah, which is awesome, and shared a lot of music, influenced a lot of people, and helped direct a lot of music, and that's for sure.
Yeah, he may have been a real wanker. I don't know, as the Brits say, but nonetheless, he certainly had an influence on me, and my musical taste, and some ways my life choices. So I mean, again, really kind of fascinating that someone who had a very small no interaction at all, but a small influence on me early in my formative years could still stick with me, so that I remember every year when he died.
Oh, yeah.
As a lot of people do. I mean, a lot of Joy Division fans all know that May 18th is Ian Curtis Day, right?
Right. And so, there we go. Well, thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. Kurt, it was always wonderful hanging out with you and cool things like that. I'm hoping that tomorrow on Instagram, it'll be full of wonderful records all afternoon, all day long, of people just posting wonderful records they're listening to, and whether it's on vinyl or CD or cassette, or it's great. Yeah. Any final words, sir?
No, thank you for having me. This is great. You're welcome. This is one of those areas I really like that I didn't realize, but I know a lot about and talked a lot about. So could have talked all night, but we'll save it for the next time.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Gina, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was fun. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Gina, you're coming on next time.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Kurt.
I said Gina's coming on next time.
Absolutely. Let's make it happen, Gina. Yeah. All right. Everyone have a wonderful night, and let tomorrow be a wonderful Black celebration.